Legend of Total War here, and today we're doing another tier list using Tier Maker. This time doing the riskiest tier list of them all. Gets requested all the time, but up until now I didn't want to do it because I didn't want to cause drama. But since there's drama going around anyway, now is actually pretty much the best time to do it. So we're going to be doing the Total War YouTuber tier list. I've picked 30 Total War focused YouTubers, and I'm going to rank them on a bunch of different criteria, rather than just doing S to D tier, which I don't think is particularly effective in this case here. Going to do things a little bit differently for this one. Now, before we get into the tier list itself, I of course need to let you guys know that this video here is sponsored by Manscaped. You guys know I've been with Manscaped for ages. Love the products, love working with them. Today, I'm talking about the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra White Hot Edition. It's the all-purpose electric razor you know and love. It's not just useful for shaving your wrinkled sack, but also for removing unwanted body hair from anywhere on your body. From head to toe, you can use the lawnmower to get a quick and painless shave. Just remember that if you've been using it frequently, to replace the blade every now and again. As with any type of razor, it will get blunted from overuse on your thick ass bush. Check out the link in the description or pinned comment and get 15% off the special edition of the Lawnmower 5.0. Big thanks to Manscaped for sponsoring this video. Okay, with that being said, let's get into the tier list itself. So first thing I want to do is clarify what these are and why someone's going to end up in these categories, and then show the lineup, and then we'll get into it. So the first three I think are going to be the most straightforward. It's basically like S tier, A tier, and B tier. Although I didn't want to put that in here because it's a little bit more nuanced than that. But channels that are doing great, there's just no issues with them, and they're achieving a great deal of success. They're achieving their goals. They'll end up in like doing great. And then the other ones that'll end up in this category are ones that just haven't yet found their niche or haven't found their stride, but they've got potential to do so. But these are the most straightforward. Then we move on to struggling. So this is where you might have someone that's achieved a great deal of success, and they're having some sort of existential crisis of the channel. This is pretty normal for someone to go through an existential crisis. Most people who are successful on Total War, or even just on YouTube in general, will usually have some degree of like crisis moment, and sometimes it can last a really long time. And so these are for the people that are having that crisis as we speak. They're in the middle of that crisis, and there's more than one person that's currently in that, and you might be surprised by the end of this as who's actually in this category. But it's not necessarily a criticism of that person. It's just like they're in sort of like a transitional period where they've got to figure it out, basically. And I may not have the answer for them. Probably don't have the answer for them. But yeah, I can at least acknowledge or recognize that they might be struggling. Then there's apathetic or quit. So this is the fate of all Total War channels, or it's fate of everyone. There's two certainties in life: taxes and death. This is basically the death of a channel, where you've either given up and you still make content just for shits and giggles, or you've outright quit, whether that be you stop making videos, or you've moved away from Total War entirely and you've done something else and maybe achieved great success in that, which has definitely happened. It's very rare for any channel to enter this category and then get out of it. It is possible, and one or two of the people in this list have actually been in this category at one point and broken out of it. It is possible to do so. However, the vast majority of people that end up in this category usually stay in that category, and that's just the end of it. And then there's grifter. This is for the Total War YouTubers, I think, that are actively being dishonest and are scamming their audience. So this will, I won't put anyone in this category unless I've actually got proof of it. I'm not just going to make baseless claims. But yeah, anyone that I put in this category, I imagine it'll cause some drama. So we'll see what happens when we get to that. All right, let's get to it. So the lineup, there's 30 YouTubers in here, and at the very end, you'll see that I'm there as well. The end of this is going to be quite spicy, so stick around for that. Yeah, there's no way to get out of that one not being spicy, but now is the right time, I think, for a spicy video, for sure. Now, this is not every single Total War YouTuber. There are so many people that I could have put on this list, and I wanted to limit it to 30 channels, which is what we've done here, of varying degrees. I don't want to just put all the same types of channels in. Everybody's doing their own thing in a different way. But yeah, I do want to recognize that there are a lot of really good channels out there that I didn't put on this list, largely because I didn't have much to say about them. They're either too small and I don't know them well enough, or I don't actually know about their existence whatsoever. So I'm sure there'll be a few comments being like, oh my god, I can't believe you didn't put this person in there. And if that person isn't in there, it's because I just didn't have anything to say about them just yet. They just haven't sort of... I don't know them well enough to say anything at this stage here. Anyway, let's get into it. All right, so starting with Lionheart X10. Absolute grifter. Oh my god, no, I'm just kidding. Lionheart is like the opposite of a grifter. I've known him for a long time. I've never known him to be bad faith at all. He just minds his own business. He's like everyone's friend. Just if you're good to him, he's good to you, and he's just a really nice guy. And he's focused on Let's Plays with his channel, and he's been doing this for like 16 years. Oh, actually even more than that. I think he started around 2006. But I mean, you'd have to get the exact date from him. But yeah, the thing is with Lionheart is that he has refined his content to an absolute T. He's got a schedule, he sticks to it, and just goes about his day. And he focuses on Let's Plays, which the YouTube algorithm basically actively punishes Let's Play channels. So normally a Let's Play channel would basically see themselves constantly in decline, unless they can manage to figure out a way to make it so they can build a really loyal fan base, which is exactly what Lionheart has done. I don't see any reason why Lionheart can't be doing Total War on YouTube for another 10 years. Now, it doesn't entirely focus on Total War on YouTube, but it's still, he's always got a Total War series going from any of the particular games. I don't think he discriminates between them. Doesn't always just pick whatever's the most popular. Sometimes he picks stuff that's really unpopular, but his audience is loyal to him and just likes to watch him play. So he doesn't get into any controversy, so there's just no reason why he can't just stick to it for the next 10 years. I think he does really well. It really is sort of like the goal for most channels. If you want to have job security, set your channel up the way the Lionheart does. It's really sort of like the benchmark on how to do it. My way is like to burn brightly and then burn out, and he just like burns nice and slowly over decades. Anyway, so now we move on to Heir of Carthage. So Heir of Carthage, very similar in personality and tone, I guess, with Lionheart. Really sort of easy to get along with guy, nice guy, focuses on Let's Plays and some multiplayer stuff. I've interacted with him a few times, and he's always been really nice. But with Heir of Carthage, maybe about 7 years ago, I think he's just sort of stopped like keeping up to date with the YouTube game. Like, he's good at Total War, and he plays the newest Total War games, but he stopped sort of learning how to do YouTube because things changed, from like 2007 and so on. You got to do the thumbnail game, you've got to do the titles, you've got to do the cringe moments. That's really important if you want to stay relevant. You've got to have some cringe. And Heir of Carthage basically didn't do any of that. Nothing wrong with that whatsoever, but that caused his channel to sort of enter stagnation. And since he has got a really good job in real life, I don't think he didn't put that much effort into keeping Total War as his full-time job, given that what he does in real life, that is. And because his kids are now sort of growing up a bit, he wants to spend more time with them. At least that's the explanation that we've seen from him. And basically 8 months ago, I think he released essentially his last video. So Heir of Carthage, kind of sad to say this, but I think he's quit Total War on YouTube. I don't think he's necessarily apathetic towards Total War. I think that he just moved on to focus on the things that matter to him on life, which is not posting a video every day or once every month or whatever. And there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. This, as I said, is the end result. This is the fate of every single Total War channel, and it's just a matter of, is it going to be 1 year, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years? What's it going to be? And it seems like Heir of Carthage has reached that point. One day, I will enter this category myself, and it's just a matter of make the most out of the time that you've got, and I think that Heir of Carthage did that. So I think he's been nothing but a positive experience positive person for the community by and large. So sad to see him go, but I don't think he's struggling in real life. It sounds like he's living his best life. So I wish him all the best with that. And that being said, it is possible to come back from this point. But since he's been gone for 8 months, I think the longer that you go, the harder it is to come back. I don't think he's coming back. It's just a guess. But who knows? It wouldn't be funny if tomorrow he just comes back full time. I've been proven wrong before. Anyway, next up, Milk and Cookies Total War. So Milk and Cookies, I've known him a long time. I've battled him a few times back when I focused on multiplayer, like somewhat. Possibly the most skilled player in multiplayer that I've ever gone up against. The toughest to beat. His micro was absolutely insane. He knew all the techniques. Very difficult to actually beat Milk and Cookies Total War. So he's an excellent player. There's no doubt about that. But I have to put him under the struggling category because he himself even admits that he's struggling. And the way that his channel has sort of been acting, I would have guessed it was struggling even before he had sort of admitted it. Basically, I've got a theory as to why this is happening. It's not inherently his fault, or it's maybe he just failed to identify exactly what's caused it. See, understanding YouTube can be quite difficult because you've got this thing called a subscriber count, and a lot of people will think that, well, I've got X number of subscribers. When I release a video, that's how many people get notified, and it's just not how it works. So the number of subscribers that you have is almost irrelevant in this day and age. 10 years ago, it did matter. Now it's just like an ego thing. Like, please do subscribe, but ultimately it doesn't actually matter. I mean, you could have more views on a 10,000 subscriber channel than on a million subscriber channel because subscriber count just doesn't matter. Basically, the way it works is that YouTube does its recommending, and the majority of the views that you get will be based on recommendations, based on what the viewer has watched recently. And so if you've been watched recently by a particular viewer, YouTube will recommend you. Of course, if you stop clicking on those videos, then they'll stop recommending it. They don't give a shit about your subscriptions. I mean, you can sit there and be like, oh, YouTube, why didn't you send that into my subscription blocks? They're not going to care. It's just based on what you're watching recently. Now, the way that works to a channel's benefit is if you are constantly keeping viewers engaged. If you're constantly keeping them engaged, then they'll keep getting notifications, of course, until they stop. Now, if you take a break for a long period of time, those viewers still look for content, and so they start watching content from other people, and then when you come back after an extended period of time, well, the YouTube algorithm has already been shifted and they're being recommended content from other people. And that's basically where I identify a bit of an issue that Milk and Cookies had. He had a really strong channel when he was very active, especially during Total War Warhammer 2. Warhammer 3 happens and, it hasn't been the greatest. It's had its ups and it's had its downs. And the fact that it's had such high ups and such high downs is actually a problem for Milk and Cookies Total War, in my opinion. Because where he's accelerated the most is thanks to the partner program. He's got interviews with them. He's within the inner circle. He gets a good deal out of them, essentially. He got sponsorships, all that kind of stuff. So when it's sponsorship time and DLC time, that's where he pumps out good content, gets loads of views. The problem is that the people that you're sending to during that time, they're what I would call the Total War tourists. That's not a bad thing, but it's basically people who are not interested in Total War content 365 days a year. They're interested in it 2 weeks at a time or 4 weeks at a time during DLC cycles. And so you get high views during that amount of time, and then when the DLC comes out, you get a big low that happens because those people are playing the game instead of watching. And what happens is, because YouTube values consistency, it'll go, hey, what's going on? You were getting 100,000 views yesterday, but now you're only getting 50,000 views or 25,000 views today. And so it starts like reeling back the amount of notifications that it does. And so this sort of roller coaster ride can end up totally messing with your head and also messing with your channel. So in many ways, suffering from success. And anyway, ends up taking big breaks in between DLC cycles and suffering from massive burnout. And of course, we enter this situation now where DLC comes once every 8 months. And it makes perfect sense why Milk and Cookies would be struggling. The situation that he finds himself in would absolutely fucking suck. It's pretty much entirely Creative Assembly's fault, but also the way to have gotten yourself out of... I identified that this was happening to me, and that was one of the reasons why I wanted to pull myself out of the partner program. And it's way better to just be a Lionheart and just be stable all the time rather than get these huge pits, spikes and then big falls, because the falls are usually worse than the spikes. It was okay during Warhammer 2 because DLC seemed like it was every other week, but with Warhammer 3, not worth it whatsoever. Anyway, so he's got a bit of a crisis with his channel at the moment. He covers some other things here and there, but he does tend to take pretty long breaks, which for the YouTube side of things is not good. Like I said, it causes people to find content elsewhere, they find a new favorite, and then they just move on. So he's got to find some way to figure this out, because I don't think this whole 8 months between DLC is going to change anytime soon, but we'll wait and see. Anyway, moving on to the next one is Turin. Turin is doing great. Basically, these two guys here are two sides of the same coin. Just stable dudes, really nice guys that don't get into any drama. Lionheart focusing on the Let's Plays. Turin's focusing on multiplayer, doing his tournaments, releases a video pretty much every day, stable, gets basically the same number of views every single day, same number of people show up to his live streams every day, just nice and stable. And he could just keep doing this for another 10 years, really, because he has built a loyal fan base. He can play Total War, he can play Warcraft 3, he can play Age of Empires 4. It doesn't matter. People just are there for him, and they'll watch him as long as he's doing something along those lines of like multiplayer RTS type stuff. They check him out, and so he seems to be having a good time of it. He's just doing great. I've interacted with him a few times. Just the nicest guy. Really good for the community. I got nothing bad to say about him. He knows what he's doing. He's doing a great job. Okay, next up is Acoi. He's doing great. So I like to rip on Acoi a little bit just because, like, whenever we talk to each other, we're just sort of ripping it a little bit. Like, he'll make fun of me in his videos. Like, he might put a reference to me in one of, like, it's like a cheesy something in like something that is renamed, and I'll rip on him on my live streams. But I like Acoi. I like his content. I like him as a person. He's really easy to get along with, and people that I get along with really well, I tend to joke about. So don't think that I'm actually serious about this at all. The thing with Acoi is, like, he makes really good videos that get hundreds of thousands of views, but he does them really infrequently. So that's kind of, I guess, what he wants to do. Like, at the moment, I'd say the frequency of his views are really quite low. Or frequency of his videos are quite low. But it seems as though because people expect a large amount of time between the videos, as opposed to what Milk and Cookies was doing, where he used to do maybe like 3, 4, or 5 videos a week. Acoi, just, if something interesting shows up, he'll make a video on it. If not, expect a huge absence. And basically, once Acoi makes a video, because it almost always trends, everyone eventually finds out, like, oh, Acoi made a video, I'm going to go check that out, sort of thing. Because they're like, every single one of his videos are bangers. So if you want to take huge breaks in between your videos, the way that Acoi does it is the correct way to go about it. You just have to make sure that every single video is like a really well edited, super good video. And so Acoi, doing great. Because he can get like over 1 million views sometimes on some of his videos. So he does a really good job. Okay, then we move on to Zerkovich. Zerkovich is one of the most successful Total War YouTubers, in my opinion. He understands how YouTube works. He's good at the game. He's a nice guy. Everyone gets along with him, and it all just works. Just like Starfield. Anyway, it just works. No, I'm just kidding. So Zerkovich would suffer from the same problem that Milk and Cookies does, because he's also within the sort of like the inner circle with Creative Assembly. So during the DLC times, that's when the news starts coming out. Easy views, basically. However, Zerkovich has got other cards up his sleeves. So when it's not DLC time, he's able to maintain his audience by doing multiple different types of videos. So he's got these like heavily edited campaign sort of Let's Plays that are more entertainment than Let's Plays, I suppose, that could get well over 500,000 views sometimes. They're probably exhausting to make, so you're not going to be able to make one every single day, but he diversifies his content. So he releases that one day, and the next day might do sort of like a technique video explaining a basic technique. Now, if you're new to Total War Warhammer, Zerkovich is like the guy to go to if you want to learn how to play the game. Some people do come to me and say, oh, I wish you'd do more beginner's guides. And I usually say to them, why bother? Zerkovich's guides are perfect. Just go watch Zerkovich. I have no need to do something when it's already being done perfectly by someone else, And I don't focus on beginner stuff. The way I think of it with Zerkovich, and why I think he's really useful, especially for my channel, is that new players come on, they check out him, And I reckon the techniques that he shows are probably good up until about hard difficulty. And once you start getting to very hard and legendary, the techniques that he shows are not as useful anymore. I mean, you still do them, but you'll start struggling a bit on very hard and legendary difficulty. And that's when you're probably going to want to look for more advanced techniques. I'm not saying that's when they come to me, but that's when you'll look to someone who is focusing on legendary and very hard. Whereas that's not really what Zerkovich focuses on. He focuses more on those sort of mid to high difficulties, not the very high difficulties that I focus on. So what he focuses on, he does a great job of, and his audience enjoys it, and that's the most important thing. And he's very successful on YouTube, so he's doing very well. Okay, then we move on to Great Book of Grudges. So Great Book of Grudges also suffering from the exact same problem that at the moment, 8 months in between DLC, when you're heavily in the partner program and you rely on it and you do focus heavily on doing news, it sucks during this amount of time. However, unlike with Milk Cookies, Great Book of Grudges is an absolute workhorse. He hasn't reached that struggling point yet. He just works through the pain, basically. The only person that during a nothing time can release 2 videos or 4 videos on a single day on 3 different mods that he's somehow managed to put 20 hours each into. It's like the guy doesn't sleep. I don't think anyone in the Total War community works harder than the Great Book of Grudges. I speak to him all the time in private. He's just the greatest dude ever. Like, really, truly, like one of my best friends within this community. Just a really great dude. So I don't think I can put him under doing great because I don't think he's hit that stride yet. I definitely want him to, but he's hit 100,000 subscribers, whereas these guys are. Don't think Turin is at 200,000 yet, but he's doesn't have lots of subscriber gain, but he's just got a really strong viewer base. I'm going to put him under doing pretty good. I think the biggest problem that Great Book of Grudges is suffering from is, of course, the news cycle from Creative Assembly. Once every 8 months of DLC is not good for his channel. I imagine that he'll probably do a lot better when the next game comes out, and it'll probably be the same case for Milk and Cookies Total War. However, during this time, Great Book of Grudges still gets content out and is able to maintain his channel because he's just an absolute workhorse, and he keeps at it every single day. And I cannot recommend him enough. Okay, then we move on to Lawmaster of SoTech. So SoTech is a completely different thing here, different category, sort of, because SoTech isn't really trying to play the YouTube game. This is all just a hobby to him. He's in a weird situation because most people, when they achieve that amount of subscribers, they go from turning it from a hobby to being like a full-time job. Most cases. It was the case for me and most other people. But with SoTech, it's like at no point did he consider it a job. Everything is just fun and games. So he doesn't suffer from the same problem, even though he should really, because he just has fun all the time. Like, he's just like the cheeriest guy ever. And if there's nothing going on Total War, well, he'll just go and play Final Fantasy 16, I think, for like weeks on end. And he just does things for fun. He clearly has a huge passion for Warhammer because it's basically an encyclopedia of Warhammer lore. And those are my favorite videos of his. But yeah, during the slow times, he just does his own thing. And when the DLC time comes around, he gets a nice big spike. And then it just goes back down to where it was before, as per the case with everyone else. But because he's just having a good time and he seems to be having fun, I've got to put him under doing pretty well because he definitely doesn't seem to be struggling, just having fun. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. Okay, next up is Colonel Denders. So I've known him for a little while. Really great dude. He's at about 80,000 subscribers now. I put him under the doing pretty good category. Which, actually, I should put that as doing pretty well, but whatever. That's better English. It doesn't matter. He does very similar videos to what I do. So he'll do opinion pieces, sort of about the game. Like top 10 videos, top 10, units you should always recruit from every race, that kind of stuff. There's nothing wrong with him doing that, even if it's overlap from me, because his opinions usually wildly divert from mine. So whenever I watch one of his videos, while I can appreciate them, I usually completely disagree with his takes. However, he believes what he's saying. Like, they are for him. So I'm not going to get angry about it. It's just that we have very different play styles and we have very different ways to play the game. And he's just got a different take. But at the same time, he justifies it as best as he could. And so I think he just does a great job. for it. I think he's really sort of reaching his stride, sort of getting towards the doing great stage. It just hasn't quite reached there yet. I mean, if I had been making this video 2 years ago, I'd probably be putting him under doing okay. He's been slowly building his way up, and that's kind of the way to do it. I mean, when I grew my channel, I didn't go straight into doing great. It takes time to get up to here. Sometimes you get up there quickly, like in the case of Acoi, comes out of nowhere and just starts smashing it. Sometimes it takes ages. It's just how it is. But yeah, Colonel Damders, great dude. He's doing pretty well. Okay, then Prince of Macedon. I think you can't really do a Total War YouTuber tier list without at least mentioning Prince of Macedon, even though he's sort of quit Total War a very long time ago. So it's pretty obvious that he's in this category here, but definitely deserves at least a mention. So that's why I put him here. So Prince of Macedon is the OG Total War YouTuber, the first, and was the original big Total War YouTuber, focusing on the Rome Total War battles. I've gone up against, I never focused a lot on Rome Total War battles. I always focused on campaigns, but I fought a few Rome Total War battles, right? And of the people that I fought, nobody kicked my ass harder than Prince of Macedon. So it was pretty obvious that he was actually as good as what he would show it as. Excellent at the game. The only battle that I actually won against him was because I just did some weird technique and it just accidentally kind of worked. But I think we fought 5 battles and I lost 4 of them. So he's really bloody good at the game. I've known him for a while. We message each other every now and again. Just a really nice dude. And it's just a real shame sort of what happened with him. But you know, that's just life. Sometimes you get screwed over or the game changes and your content isn't interesting anymore and you can't really change with it. And so he just left and he's doing his own thing. Sometimes he goes a long time without posting, but he hasn't posted Total War stuff in a very long time now on his channel. So yeah, he's under the probably both apathetic and quit Total War. I don't think he's played a Total War game in a very long time. And last time I spoke to him, he just didn't care about what was going on with Total War at all. So real big shame to have lost Prince of Macedon, but you know, we can still remember the giant that he was. Okay, then I'm going to move on to some smaller YouTubers here. Cultist of Corn. So Cultist of Corn is an excellent player, someone that someone messages me a fair bit, sends me save files a fair bit, someone that I interact with a fair bit. Really, truly an excellent player. Like a legendary difficulty, hardcore player. He knows his stuff. He's just new to the YouTube side of things, that's all. So I'm going to put him under doing okay because someone of his skill level should reach doing great. He just hasn't found the niche yet in order to get up to that point. But like I said, these things take time to build up an audience, and he's on the right track. It just takes time. But yeah, truly an excellent player, knows what he's doing, and just needs to persevere at it and try to figure out exactly what niche he wants to capitalize on. Like for me, it was like the disaster battles. That was what projected my channel into what it is now. But not everyone is going to be able to do that or should do that. You've got to find your own thing. Okay, then Battlesea, much in the same way, sitting at about 12,000 subscribers, focuses a fair bit on live streaming. Suffers a little bit from the milk and cookies problem, but still keeps live streaming during the off times. Focuses on some community stuff here and there. Was involved with some commentary with some of his tournaments. Focuses on multiplayer and on single player, and just an entertaining and charismatic guy. But hasn't yet found his stride, and so again, putting him under doing okay. Now you can be in these higher tiers here, even if you don't have like 100,000 subscribers, but you've got to be like visibly on the rise, which I don't think these two guys are at the moment. They definitely have intermittent periods of success, but they haven't found their niche yet to bring them into this stage. Like when you're in this stage here, that's where you've found your niche and you just got a good thing going and you just keep capitalizing on it for like a decade. And if you're here, you're like pretty close to that point. Anyway. Next up is Costin Gaming. Costin's doing really well. He's sitting at, 50,000 subscribers. I check him out every now and again. He's got some really good takes on things. I like him. I just don't have anything negative to say about him, so I'm going to put him under doing pretty good. Very good at the game. Got a lot of integrity. Just sticks to it. You know, what else could I say about him, really? So that's why I put him on there. Then we got Dame Offensive. So Dame Offensive has quit Total War on YouTube, but I think it was important to put her on this list. I just also want another just honorable mention to Radiant Ash. Total War is a sausage fest, okay? It's completely dominated by guys. Now that doesn't mean there has to be women that be streamers, but you know, when I look at my demographics, when I see my viewers, it's like 98% men. Now that's just where Total War appeals to. But the reason why Dame Offensive sort of stood out is because when she started streaming, she was able to get to 30,000 subscribers very quickly, because not only was she, well, she is still, but just gave up on Total War. She was charismatic, but she was also good at the game. She's for a, you know, you put up all kinds of stereotypes. You expect women to not be very good at it, sort of thing. But she's actually good at it, so it sort of disproves the whole thing that like men would only be good at these sort of games. Like, she played on legendary difficulty, and she was able to do just as well as anyone else. And I think that's one of the things that really had her stand out, is that she was a smasher of stereotypes. And she paved the way for the possibility of other women to try their hand at doing Total War on YouTube with minimal prejudice, I guess. I don't think that the Total War community, by and large, is prejudiced. There's always going to be a little bit on the fringes. But Dame Offensive was really important into just smashing that first part. Sort of like how Prince of Macedon, being the first Total War YouTuber, inspires other YouTubers to start. I think that Dame Offensive inspired other women to give it a shot. And I'm seeing a lot more of them these days. So Radiant Ash is still continuing doing Total War on YouTube, and she's the one that's able to handle Legendary just fine. Really good YouTuber. But again, I didn't put her on this list here because I just had like 5 seconds worth of things to say about her. Not bad or anything, just I only want to put 30 in here also all day. But yeah, honorable mention to her. But yeah, she has stopped doing Total War on YouTube, largely I think because of Total Warhammer 3. It was around the time that she stopped. But yeah, she was getting a huge amount of momentum and then just ground to a halt with Warhammer 3, and she just got out really quickly with it. Fair enough. Okay, so then we move on to Dav Plays. So Dav Plays primarily focuses on multiplayer. He's sitting at around 22,000 subscribers. I think he's doing pretty well. He's keeping it nice and stable, but I don't think he's really sort of found his stride yet to hit the doing great side of things. Seems like he sort of models his channel much in the same way of Turin, which is the way to go about it. But I guess if you're not the first person doing it, it can take a little while to build your channel that way, much in the same way that other Let's Play channels might be in Lionheart Shadow a little bit. Just got to pause the recording for a moment here. I got a cough. Okay, sorry about that. Man, this cold, it just keeps going on and on and on. I mean, I'm over it, but every now and again I got a cough, but whatever. It's just phlegm. All right, so Dav Plays. Like I said, doing great. 22,000 subscribers. Just a workhorse, and has been doing it for years. Just keeps on focusing on it. Not much more I can really say about it. When it comes to the multiplayer stuff, I really can't offer too much advice because I tried my hand at multiplayer. It didn't work for my channel, and I stopped. So I can certainly admire people that stick to it, obviously because they enjoyed it a lot more than I did. But yeah, putting him under doing okay because he hasn't yet found his stride yet to reach into being more successful. But he's good at what he does. I just got to figure out more of I think his own little niche within a niche. Then we've got Monsters Abound. So Monsters Abound is focusing on Let's Plays, but this is where he's got his own take to it. So I'm going to put him under doing pretty good because he's not just copying Lionheart's way of doing things. Monsters Abound, he likes to get the replay from his campaigns, from his battles, and do his commentary in like an entertaining way, so it doesn't affect the actual battle itself, because he's already fought the battle, and then he does the commentary over it, over the replay, to make it more entertaining. So giving it a bit more of an edge in order to be just something different than what Lionheart does, which everything is just sort of live and going through it, much in the same way with mine as well. Monsters Abound is a great dude. Spoken to him a few times, just really nice. Minds his own business and just makes his videos. Pretty amazing that if you're gonna like get these edited videos out, you can get so many of them out. So just an absolute workhorse. So just sticking to it, and he's seeing a decent amount of success. But just keep on at it, and you'll hopefully one day be on the same sort of tier as Lionheart. But you know, he's got like a decade on top of us. So it's just he's had a long time to build that loyalty. And also, whenever somebody has come before you, it takes longer to sort of to get to where they are, just because they got there first. You're either first or best, and and he's first and best of that. So you're doing well, but competing with Lionheart, that can't be difficult. Sorry, that can't be easy. So it's the opposite of what I meant. But yeah, he's doing really well. Okay, next up, Joe On It. So this is a guy that focuses on Rome Total War. And that's why I want to put him on this list here. So just about everyone else on this list, for the most part, focuses on Total War Warhammer. Like, it's the biggest Total War game. It's got the widest audience. And to have a channel to be doing pretty well while completely ignoring Warhammer, that is rare. Especially doing it for as long as what Joe has done. And maintained a really good sense of community. Like, he covers other games as well. Maybe somewhat to his detriment. Like, sometimes he covers games that are just nowhere in line to the Total War side of things, which can confuse the algorithm. So in my opinion, if you want a little bit of advice, there's nothing wrong with playing those games, so maybe put them on the secondary channel, unless it's sponsored content and it's different, but I don't think it is. But yeah, I think focusing entirely on Rome Total War would be better for your channel. But at the same time, I can recognize you do a great job with your Rome 2 stuff. And you're keeping that game going on YouTube, because I don't think there are a lot of Rome 2 dedicated channels, and Joe On It, I think, is one of the best, one that I've interacted with. It's just a really great dude. So I'm going to put him under doing pretty good, even though his channel isn't getting as many views as some of the others like down here. I think he's in a more difficult situation, because covering historical Total War right now is just it's just the worst for history Total Wars. Like, Creative Assembly has dropped the ball so hard with this stuff. Like, to put things in perspective, the time between Rome 1 and Rome 2 is way shorter than the time between Rome 2 and now. You know, like, we should have had a Rome 3 by now, and a Medieval 3, and an Empire 2, and all of these other things. But no, Creative Assembly had to focus on all these other stupid ideas. You know, we've beaten this to death. But you know, basically, being a Rome 2 dedicated channel can't be easy, and he's keeping it going. So good on him for that, and hopefully he sticks to it, because I think he's doing a great job. Okay, then we've got Human Boy Yes Yes, who is another multiplayer-focused channel and is one of the most entertaining persons to listen to that I've ever heard of. It's so funny the way he talks. I don't care much about multiplayer, but I like to watch his videos just to listen to him, because he's so animated and charismatic. But yeah, I've had a couple of interactions with him. I don't have too much interactions with multiplayer guys, because we focus on different things. But I had a few interactions with him, and he's just really nice dude. So I'm gonna put him under doing okay, because he's got fewer subs than Dav plays. But I can definitely see him doing getting up to here by just keeping doing exactly what he's doing, just because he's so entertaining. He gets his opinions out there. He does the tier lists for multiplayer stuff every now and again. That's the kind of stuff that can help you to break away. He just needs to basically make the right tier list at the right time, get the right opinion to make it go viral, and for multiplayer to actually be something that the community by and large actually gives a shit about, because it's such a small portion of the community that actually even bothers with multiplayer. And I feel like Total War Warhammer multiplayer is just so sort of bare bones. Like, there really should have been Avatar Conquest and all this kind of stuff. And all of that stuff would have been really great for these channels here. But of course, you've still just got the battles, and there's the domination battles, which I could not care less about, but whatever. But yeah, really entertaining guy to listen to, Human Boy Yes Yes. Okay, so then we've got Melkor. So Melkor is the first example in this video of somebody that had quit if I had been making this video a year ago, that's where he would be. But Melkor came back, no longer Melgon. He came back, and I think he's just doing okay now, basically. So you can come back after an extended period of being away. But I also think that he's not really expecting to break into this category here. But he was on track to do so until Rome Remastered happened. Like, to play Rome 1 in, like, 2020 and be actually growing as a channel. Like, Rome 1 is absolutely astounding that he was able to do that back then. And, of course, Rome Remastered killed the momentum. He recognized that and then just sort of was like, wasn't going to spend the next 5 years watching the channel decline. I can understand that completely. Melkor has had some really good points of view, in my opinion. So some of the things that he said actually stay with me to this day and inspired some of the decisions that I made during the tough times of like 2023. Offered some really bloody good advice. So I've got a lot of personal respect for Melkor. I think he's got a lot of integrity and has been an overall very positive force for the community. So I can't recommend his content enough. Or I can't recommend him enough. But at the same time, he's going to focus on Rome 1 and Medieval 2, which I like those games. But they are extremely old. But yeah, I kind of suspect that he's going to probably going to quit again at some point, because I don't think I think he's just here for fun, just sort of like what SoT's doing. But the games that he's focusing on, they don't have endless updates like with Warhammer. Okay, so now we'll move on to Mercy the Mad. Mercy the Mad is another one we're going to put under doing okay, but he's an excellent player, much in the same sort of boat as Cultists of Khorne. You know, Mercy the Mad got to like 20,000 subscribers really bloody quickly, and then sort of ground to a slow, screeching halt. Didn't go backwards, but sort of struggles to go forward. I think largely due to the stagnation of Total War Warhammer 3. Not really his fault in regard to that. And also sort of breaking out into a niche. So he's got some really popular videos where he offers some like really early game guides. Very bloody good guides. Things like, you know, being able to confederate certain characters like on turn 1, that kind of stuff. Offering some really cheesy guides. And I think that's great, but the problem is with those videos is that you can only come up with so many of them, and you will eventually, you can't do that every day. And he seems to really want to focus on live streaming, and there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. And he's got probably the most amount of time live streaming on average these days than anyone else. Like some of his live streams are like 12 hours long. So he's an absolute workhorse in regard to his dedication to like just being here and building a community on sciencing Total War. But I think that he just needs to focus on finding what his niche is going to be, niche within a niche, because there's no reason why he couldn't end up in this category here. Just needs to figure out what that is. And that, like I said, that takes time to figure out, especially considering when you come to the party so late when everyone else is already established. But yeah, really excellent player, really nice guy, really just focuses on being positive, doesn't get angry, doesn't like curse out CA or anything like that, and just focuses on having a good time and sciencing the game. So doing okay, but I would definitely want to see him find that niche within a niche. Because the next person here, Anticity, this is a bit of an interesting case, because if I had made this video 6 months ago, maybe a bit longer, maybe a year ago, he would be under quit category, because he was on the rise. I thought at one point that Anticity was going to be the next big Total War streamer after me. I recognized that I had hit my plateau and that it was basically all downhill from here. And Anticity was rising. And then at one point he went, I don't need Total War, and walked away from it for, I don't know, 6 months. And then came back and had to basically rebuild again from scratch. So I'd say that if he didn't quit, he probably would be under doing great right now. Instead, he's just at doing pretty good. He's still building, but yeah, he's one of the people that has actually come back from apathetic or quit, just had to work hard at it, and has the drive and the skill to do so. Anticity is one of the best players within the Total War scene. He plays both campaigns and tournaments in multiplayer, collaborates with Turin as well. So I have no doubt that if he actually sticks to it, he will eventually enter this category here. But it's just a matter of perseverance to get there. But he's getting some really great stream numbers. He's found his sort of niche within a niche and just got to keep capitalizing on it and refining it to perfection. But he's on track. Okay, next up is Tariff. Tariff is a fucking grifter. No, I'm just kidding. Tariff is doing great. Again, I'm going to joke about people that I personally just have a really great rapport with. So I speak to Tariff all the time. Just absolutely love the guy. His content is someone's that I can just binge. My biggest complaint with Tariff is that his videos are too short. No, it's not that they're too short. It's that I have to basically... This is what I do with Tariff's content. I have to wait about a week or two because I don't want to just watch one video. I want to watch like 10 of his videos in a row. So I got to wait like a couple of weeks. And then I go onto his channel and check to see how many videos he's done. And then just like queue them all up and just watch them bang, bang, bang all at the same time. Because I like to binge content. Some of his videos are some of the most replayed videos in my search history or in my watch history. Especially his Thomas the Chaos Dwarf Tank Engine. One of my favorite videos just of Total War in general of all time. So Tariff's videos are just shit posting funny videos. It's like 2 to 10 minutes long, just weirdly edited. It's just funny, basically. You don't take it too seriously. It's just shit talking, basically, but in video form. It's hilarious, and the fact that he just keep doing more of them, like how does he keep coming up with more ideas, especially when there's just not new content coming out? I don't know how he does it, but again, absolute workhorse, keeps on at it. He got his 100,000 subscribers fairly recently, deserves 10 times as much. Just really great dude, like again, great in real life, makes great content. I can't recommend Tariff enough. Most of you guys already know Tariff anyway. But yeah, if you haven't subscribed to him, go and do so and binge his content because it's hilarious and you kill about half an hour basically. So that's really great. Okay, then next up is Bellum et Historia. So this guy also doing great. So I've known Bellum et Historia for a while. It used to be called Total War Battles and he's sort of had a bit of a rebrand on his channel. Really great dude. Knows the YouTube stuff really well and works really bloody hard and has focused on increasing the quality of his videos over time, improving resolution, getting better commentary done, making his videos more documentary rather than just sort of a cinematic. So keeps making better content over time. His views wildly vary because some things just have less interest than others, but his channel focuses very heavily on the algorithm rather than building up a loyal fan base. And so for him, I think it's just about learning the algorithm because he doesn't really put his own personality in his videos. It's all about just building these documentaries. He just needs to learn the algorithm, and every now and again all the stars align and he gets like absolute bangers. Like for example, a couple of years back, he was doing some of these Lord of the Rings like documentary videos, and it was sort of in line with season 1 of Rings of Power. And some of his videos got pushed out and got like 6 million views or something, some absolutely ridiculous levels of views. And there was just a case of him capitalizing on that. He's very good at doing that. So yeah, can't recommend him enough. Really great dude, and he will work. If you're interested in checking him out, he will work very hard to gain your viewership and your subscription. So I would highly recommend him. Okay, then we've got Andy's Take. So I've known Andy for a while. I talk to him every now and again. He's a really nice guy. This is someone that I would classify as like just a fan of Total War. He just enjoys Total War for what it is, basically. Doesn't get all pissy about certain games not being to his expectations or whatever, and is just able to enjoy a game. Likes to enjoy a lot of mods, and does a lot of videos about like his opinions on things. And so when you put yourself out there, that does lead to people attacking you. That does end up happening. So the fact that Andy just takes it with stride and just keeps on going with it really has my respect with this stuff. So I'm gonna put him under doing pretty good because he's still like in sort of like, he hasn't hit 100,000 subscribers yet, but some of his videos do very well, and I think he's an intelligent dude, and he's got a good way of speaking, and I can really respect him. So that's why I'm going to put him under there. Okay, so Warrior of Sparta. I'm going to put him under apathetic or quit. I don't think he's apathetic towards Total War, but I definitely think he's quit. So this is a bit of a strange case. So I wanted to put Warrior Sparta here because he started around the same time as I did, and I've known Warrior Sparta for a long time. And this is a classic case of what happens when you quit or you stop doing Total War for a long period of time. It's not necessarily his fault. He had real life circumstances that caused him to basically not prioritize Total War. And he has tried to come back a number of times, but it's difficult to come back. Some people can manage it, but I feel like if you're going to do it, it's very difficult to do so if you're married and you've got kids and that kind of stuff. And that's the case with Warrior Sparta and Heir of Carthage and now me. It's when you've got other things in your life, you can't dedicate all day and all night to Total War. Whereas Anticity's a young guy, he can actually put the hours in and do that, and that's possibly why he might be the next big Total War YouTuber if he sticks to it. I mean, it takes ages. It's got a long way to go to surpass me, but he could potentially do it. Like I said, with Warrior Sparta, he's tried to come back a number of times. He's a really great guy and everything, but just hasn't managed to successfully come back. I think the last videos he made was on Total War Pharaoh and just sort of didn't come back since. But there's always a possibility he will come back because the previous gap was a lot longer than the current gap. But unless he really sticks to it, which I don't see how he's going to do that. I think he's got 3 kids. I don't see how he's going to manage it. Basically, getting into YouTube getting into Total War on YouTube, it's hard to do if you're a parent. Anyway, unless you're already doing Total War when you become a parent, then it's fine. It's just another thing you got to juggle. Okay, next person I want to talk about is the Terminator. So I kind of see the Terminator and Andy's take as being very similar in terms of they're just fans of the franchise. They talk about sort of the same things. He's got some really good feedback. But, they're not the same person. They just talk about similar things, and I like listening to both of their opinions. They're not always not the same opinions, just they talk about the same topics. The reason why I like the Terminator is much the same way that I like Andy. I really respect people that will just put their opinions out there, and even if they know that they're going to get hate for it. Now, one of the things that happened with the Terminator Total War, it's just called the Terminator, is that he put out a review for Dynasty, for Pharaoh's Dynasty, and he was like, this is meh, basically, 5 out of 10. Just giving his honest opinion. And he got absolutely attacked for it, because people were like, how dare he disagree with my opinion? And sort of learnt firsthand how reviews, can be very detrimental for a channel. But, he stuck to it anyway, and despite the attacks he was getting for no bloody good reason, apart from just him giving an honest opinion, just keeps on putting himself out there, which is difficult to do. It's a lot easier to do YouTube or to do Total War if you hide your opinions. The times where I'm keeping my opinions to myself, those are the easiest time for sure than the times where I'm giving my opinions, which recent stuff will attest to. With him, he's on a similar level to Andy. Doing pretty good. I think they're both on the rise. Then Blake's takes. Blake's is just doing great at the moment. He's kind of found his niche, and he's well on the rise. I'm actually going to put him under doing great. He doesn't have 100,000 subscribers, but he's found his niche, I think. A lot of his videos are getting recommended to me constantly, which is a really good sign that he's sort of hit the algorithm. It's being recommended to more people with his you suck at series, you suck at this or whatever. So I think he sort of got that idea a little bit maybe from Zerkovich, but whatever, he's capitalizing on it, and his thumbnails are good, his content is good, he's doing a good job, he's a good dude. Only interacted with him a little bit, but yeah, it seems like Blake is on the rise. So he's actually got the least amount of subscribers than any of these ones here, but because he has sort of found his niche within a niche, that is the goal there. So if he keeps that up, I wish him nothing but the best. Okay, now we come to the stuff where it's going to be more difficult to talk about. So I'm going to start with Voland. It's almost impossible to talk about Voland without somebody losing their absolute shit. That's just a reality of it, because a lot of people, I think, want him to just disappear, and I don't think that you should want that, by the way. So I've known Voland for a while. I've been talking to him not that long. So funny thing is that something that happened with Voland was the catalyst for me breaking ties with Creative Assembly. So I've got a fairly long and complicated history with Voland. I'm going to put him under the apathetic category. He hasn't quit. He's like apathetic towards Total War. Nothing wrong with that whatsoever. It's a really interesting case of somebody that has no confidence in Total War, but still talks about it just because he finds talking about it interesting. He still like releases the odd like Battle for Medieval 1, which is really interesting to see anyone cover Battles for Medieval 1, or some stuff for Shogun 2, for sure. He's a really interesting person. Now, he definitely rubs some people the wrong way. He doesn't rub me the wrong way. So I just want to be perfectly honest with that. I talk to him every now and again, and while we disagree on some things, mostly about Warhammer, I find that when I found common ground with him, he was like a normal person to talk to. And I think that if you're someone that has previously had, whatever thoughts about Voland, my advice to you, if you ever wanted to give it a shot, was just, he will treat you the exact same way that you treat him. So just don't come at him with hostility, and it's pretty much the way he'll treat you. But I've enjoyed my conversations with him. But yeah, he is apathetic towards Total War, and he is possibly one of the most skilled players of Total War in the history of Total War. Absolutely phenomenal Shogun 2 player. But yeah, everyone's got a Total War game that they consider to be their last one, basically. And for Voland, it was a long time ago. And I don't think he cares about being a YouTuber much in the same way as Lawmaster of SoTech, but where Lawmaster of SoTech is just like doing his own thing and having fun. Voland is like just basically watching what he thinks is the house burning down, which I don't disagree with him. I think the house is fucking burning down. The difference between, I think, me and him with this is that I would love for it to stop burning down, and I don't think he cares whether it burns down or not, which is totally fair. I think that however you feel about any of this stuff is entirely your own point of view. But I'll just let you know my own personal feelings towards Voland. I like him. I have conversations with him all the time, and I do appreciate his insight. Okay. Oh yeah, and the other thing, so I think it's important to bring this up because I never want this to happen again. But Voland is as far as I'm aware, the only Total War focused person within this community that has ever been DMCA striked by Creative Assembly, falsely DMCA striked. When that happened, I was talking to Voland, and I tried to get as much information as to what happened with it as possible. And he shared with me it was just completely transparent with me with the stuff like the forums, saw who did it and all this kind of stuff. And it's no coincidence that when he got falsely DMCA striked, I called out Creative Assembly for it, because I believe that the rules should apply to everyone equally. It doesn't matter if you like the person that the rules are being unfairly done to or not. Everyone should be apply these rules equally. Anyway, so I called Creative Assembly out, and they immediately unfollowed me from Twitter, and that was like 2 days later I was out of the program, because what happened was I was going to pick a fight with them over this, but I started with a different topic, and I didn't get to his DMCA strike before the end, before we had broken treaty, I guess. But it was on my to-do list to talk to Creative Assembly. I just didn't get to it, that's all. So that probably wouldn't have happened when it did if it wasn't for the false DMCA strike. So I don't think Creative Assembly got away with it necessarily because, well, they didn't DMCA strike the thing. Even YouTube threw it out. But I don't think that they'll try that again, because I think they thought they could do it and nobody would care because nobody would stand up to Voland. Nobody would stand up for Voland. And I think they found out that wouldn't be the case. So yeah, that really interesting history with Voland. So I think it's an important person within the Total War community. But yeah, he totally doesn't give a shit about the future of Total War. There's no doubt about that. So I need to do a bit of an edit here for Pixelated Apollo's section that I originally did, because normally what I do with these tier lists is I record them pretty much all in one take, and then it's about 3 or 4 days, and then it goes online. Well, what's happened is that the stuff that I said originally was referring a lot to the drama, and that has now been resolved. So it's just outdated. I didn't go hard on him or anything in this particular video here, because I went hard on him in the original video. And it's just outdated, so I just thought I have to edit this particular section. But it doesn't change the fact that I still feel like I need to put him under the struggling section. It shouldn't be seen as like a massive slap in the face to any creator if they're in the struggling section. It's more of an observation, because it's pretty obvious that Pixelated Apollo has not been enjoying doing Total War as much as what he originally did. I mean, this is pretty common for someone that's been around for quite a long time, is that you'll have a bit of an existential crisis. It is different from Milk and Cookie's case, because Pixelated Apollo is not subject to the algorithms ups and downs roller coaster ride in the same way that Milk and Cookies is, because it's not part of the partner program. Instead, it's just like an eternal decaying cycle because of waiting forever for an actual new game to come out from Creative Assembly, not the new Total War game, that he can actually sink his teeth into, and it hasn't happened for a really long time. So I don't think Pixelated Apollo has covered anything from Total War that's come out prior to 2015 in just a really long time. So it just focuses on these more than 10-year-old game. And unfortunately, that creates a bit of a decaying effect because people sort of move on from those games after a while. But also, if you're bitter and angry about it, and anytime you're negative, and I've suffered from this a huge amount as well, it can cause people to basically stop watching. Now, a lot of viewers, they don't necessarily unsubscribe. They soft unsubscribe. They don't actually hit the unsubscribe button. They just stop watching. And once they stop watching, they stop getting the notifications. And so you retain your sub count, but your effective sub count is significantly lower. And that is the case with me and most people that have been around for more than 10 years. You know, we don't get our sub count on every one of our videos. It's usually significantly less, just because, you know, people subscribe and then they forget about you and the notifications stop going to them. That's just a natural part of being on YouTube. It's just a bit weird, and I think a lot of people don't understand that. Now, in terms of his struggling, what solutions are there? There really isn't much of a solution. I mean, he can focus more on making more positive content, which is what he said he's going to do. But it's probably not going to propel his channel back into where it was before, because the situation in Total War has just changed dramatically. He still gets really good views overall on his channel, but obviously a lot of people will come on and annoy him about how far he's fallen. But it's not entirely his fault. Total War has gone downhill significantly, especially in the historical side of things, and that will cause you to have your channel be struggling. So some of it is his own doing, but a large portion of it is just the situation is not ideal, and it can make anyone bitter. So I just wanted to put that in as my updated portion for Pixelated Apollo here, and now I'll let the original commentary resume from here. And you know what the funny thing is? Do you know where I would put me? I'm in the same category. I'm struggling as well. I might not be struggling in terms of my views or keeping the channel alive, but I am one push away from becoming apathetic. I am so close to giving up on Total War, it's not funny. And I've said this many, many times before. Let's do a little bit of a recap of history. I recently quit live streaming Warhammer 3. I refuse to, do you know how many people are telling me to go live stream Warhammer 3? And I'm just refusing. There's a reason why I don't want to live stream Warhammer 3. I am so close to this point right here. And the thing is, once I've reached this point, I'm worried that, as I said, once you've reached this point, that there may not be a way of coming back. Basically, every single day is a struggle just to get me to just make content. And it's not because I don't love the games that I play. It's because I just don't see much of a future in Total War at the moment. It's so bleak that... And I see Creative Assembly as such a piece of shit company. It's just hard to have any faith in them. I'm not even excited for Total War Warhammer 40k. While it could be great, I also think it's made by Creative Assembly. They just had so many misses. So I'm under this category here. Not quite apathetic. it's taking all of my willpower to keep myself going, because I want to be here. But not every day is a struggle, but it's difficult to motivate myself to make the content sometimes, because, been doing the same thing over and over again for a long time. And I do love Total War Warhammer 3, but god damn it, the updates are so slow and I get burnt out. So I'm actually, in many ways, suffering from the same thing with Milk and Cookies Total War, but it's more about the game rather than the cycle of DLC with Creative Assembly. So I don't actually think I'm under this category here. I think I'm here, and I have been for a while. I've been maintaining the channel, but from a personal level, which is the most important thing, I am one push away from completely collapsing down to here. Now, you might notice at the end of this tier list here that I didn't put anyone at a grifter. That's because I don't think there are actually any grifters in the Total War side of things. If there was a grifter, that person would be immediately ejected out of the Total War community, and it just wouldn't be a thing. But what happens in this day and age, and this is why I wanted to put it on this list, is that people accuse each other so much of being grifters, but there are actually no grifters in the Total War community. There are people who are maybe flawed. Everyone is flawed. Nobody's perfect. I've got my flaws. Pixelated Apollo's got his flaws, but nobody here is scamming their audience with shit coins or with scams or anything like that. So I do think that one great thing about the Total War community is that even in times of drama, it's petty shit. It's nothing compared to what other communities go through. Anyway, all of the people here on this list I like. I've never had any real long-term issues with any Total War YouTubers. These guys here are just doing a great job right now, and I wish everyone the best with all this. So with this, one of the main things I want to do with the Total War YouTuber tier list is basically to give every single person on this list here a shout out and say something nice about them. And if I thought they were struggling, I want to let them know that I know what it feels like to go through tough times. I understand if you're apathetic towards Total War. I am here right now with you. Like, I get it. So to Milk and Cookies, to Pixelated Apollo, to me, I get it. And I wish you both the best. And I hope that we can figure this out. And I'd love for all three of us to be here right now and for nobody to be struggling. But we all have our struggles, and sometimes it lasts 6 months, 2 years, 3 years, or just it ends us. It is unfortunately the way things go. It's not a bad thing. It's just challenges of life. Anyway, that's the end of this one here, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope that I've shown you to some new Total War YouTubers that you might find interesting. I'll leave a link to all of them in the description. Every single one of these people have value to the community in different ways. And sometimes we're going to have disagreements. And there's nothing wrong with having a disagreement. It's totally fine. It's healthy to disagree with one another. You're going to disagree with me about a lot of these choices. That is healthy. Okay? If you sat there and go, yeah, I just agree with everything because he's my favorite YouTuber. Fuck off. That's the worst thing you could possibly do. Form your own damn opinions. God damn it. Think for yourself. That's the most important thing. And again, it's okay to have disagreements, but, voice them, get it out in the open, and sort it out, basically. That's the way we solve things. Not with this backstabby sort of petty bullshit of making up lies about people. That's not the way to go about it. I think this conversation about grifters really needs to end because, in my opinion, there are no Total War grifters. They would be so freaking obvious and stick out like a sore thumb if there was one, that they'd just, like I said, just be ejected out of the Total War community straight away, because the Total War community will not tolerate a grifter. I can tell you that much, because so much integrity is basically forced upon every single one of these people. That it's just not possible to exist as a grifter in the Total War scene because of you guys, because of the audience. You will not put up with it. You're savvy enough and do you know why you're so savvy? Because Creative Assembly are fucking grifters. You know what? I should have put Creative Assembly in here, and I would have actually put them here, because Creative Assembly are fucking grifters. They have tried to pull the wool over your eyes so many times, and every single time they do it, you call them out on it, and they fold immediately. So some examples of that is like when they tried to cancel when they did cancel Three Kingdoms, the future of Total War Three Kingdoms. The fact that you guys saw right through it, were able to call through their bullshit, that's an example of how they just don't get away. They cannot ever successfully grift on you guys. Or when they said that Pharaoh was a full price title and not a saga game, you didn't tolerate it. It's not possible for anyone to be a grifter in this franchise. You guys are too savvy. So I appreciate you guys making sure that a grifter cannot exist within this franchise, because it's just not possible. And because of you guys behaving that way is why I make sure that I just have to do my sponsorships with as much integrity as possible. It's because of you. All right, thanks, guys. That's the end of this one. I appreciate you. Don't forget to check out Manscaped. Link in the pinned comment and description. I don't think that's a grift, so because I use Manscaped myself. But yeah, appreciate you, and we'll see you next time. Later, guys.